Hey everybody, welcome to Back Issues. I'm Sal.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Tiffany.
So we're going to talk about Batman today. How much do you know
About Batman?
about Clayface?
I do know that there have been multiple Clayfaces.
Okay.
And I do know the tragic story in the animated series
Of course you
version
do.
of it. And I know that Clayface has been at times foe and at times friend.
Yes. More recently, Clayface
Friend.
has been a member of the Bat family, for
Yeah.
goodness sake.
Weird.
It is weird. Okay, so like many of you, my exposure has been through the comics, but the one I remember and think about is the Matt Hagen animated series Clayface.
Yeah.
That's the one everyone thinks of, for God's sake. That's the Mr. Freeze, that's the Clayface, that's the Man Bat. The animated series nailed it. First try out of the gate, got it.
And he's
and
not
everybody
even-
else should just fall in line with those origins.
He's not even that great in the Arkham games.
No, unfortunately he's not. It's kind of a waste.
Yeah.
I keep seeing his action figure at Walmart and I'm like, no.
I don't care.
Wow, I totally forgot he was in that at all.
Right? It's not great.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I had the fourth part of the story arc we're doing today, the Mud Pack. This presupposes the idea that there have been 4 Clayfaces. And wouldn't it be awesome if they all teamed up? And like, I have heard from a variety of sources that this is an awesome idea, and I am the lone dissenter who thinks that this is silly and dumb.
When you say team up, do you mean they all like goop together to
No,
form
they don't
one
become
giant
like
Clayface?
Mecha Clayface or some kind of like
Weird
legion.
Voltron.
Yeah, no. I mean that like the first Clayface wrangles the other Clayface. Like
a mess?
the name suggests, it's a mess.
So this is not the story of Batman going to a spa?
Right. And getting a mask.
Yeah, or like
and
a full
cleaning off.
mud bath?
Yeah, unfortunately, no.
Well, he gets a full mud bath,
yeah,
but guess
Batman
who's
gets
giving
a
him
mud
the
bath.
bath?
That's right.
This is
Clayface.
This is not the impossible imaginary story of Batman taking a breath and relaxing for a
Absolutely
minute.
not. No, Batman does not take a breath in this story at all. This is, of course, written by Alan Grant with art by Norm Brayfogle, one of my favorite Batman artists of all time. This is like a classic duo, Grant and Brayfogle. We did the Detective Comics story, The Death of the Penguin, which is that duo.
Yeah.
Grant, of course, now. Alan Grant passed away recently at the time of the recording of this episode, and I didn't realize until recently how many Alan Grant books we did on this couch.
Yeah.
But damn, so thank you, Alan, for your contributions, and you'll be sorely missed. I'm only sorry we never get a chance to actually meet Alan Grant and have him slap me silly for making fun of any of the Batman stories he's done. But the dude has a long and storied history, and especially a huge contribution to the character of Batman and comics in general. That being said, we're still going to talk about this honestly.
Okay.
This is silly. This is during a period where it's like, we're post-crisis, but Grant is playing from the perspective of like him working for subversive British magazines and also doing American superhero comics. And so like Batman is a grizzled detective, but also is silly and knows how to smile and have fun. And so that's
What?
the kind of Batman we get in this. It's this kind of like hodgepodge because Grant and Brayfogle are doing detective, and only a year ago, the Joker beat Jason Todd with a crowbar and blew him up in a little shack with his mom in Ethiopia. So like, some heavy shit has happened to Batman, and also we're just kind of like having fun too.
Those two don't go hand in hand.
Not especially,
really.
no. But you
It's
know,
also-
that was a year ago, man. Get over it.
Was it a year ago in comics?
But
It was like 3 weeks.
In '89, they're kind of like, whatever. Like,
knows
I don't
when that
know.
happened? Who cares?
They're not worried about the sliding time scale.
Gotham's a rough place. A lot happens in 3 weeks.
That's fair. Yes.
It's
yes.
some city miles on you, some Gotham City miles.
Yeah, those are hardened miles.
Now I got to tell you, I know we were made aware of the number of Alan Grant stories we have done because
Yes.
of the number of times we have made a Jurassic Park reference.
is
And I
true.
got to tell you, that was on my mind. So I was like, let's not do that necessarily.
Uh-huh.
And yet, every time you say his name,
All you think
every ounce of pop culture is just screaming
Yes.
that he should be fascinated by dinosaurs and,
Frightening little children
Yes.
with raptor claws.
Or
like-
maybe making a song on a velociraptor throat voice box.
right?
Great.
Or frightening
Great
children
reference.
by pretending to get electrocuted.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best scene ever. I fucking love that
Yeah,
scene.
I love that that's how we show that Alan Grant has softened and is open to the idea
And
of
he likes
children.
kids.
Yeah.
He's like,
It's
look
by
what I can do with
scaring
them.
the ever-loving shit out of them after experiencing a traumatic event.
You're watching a man die right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Ah.
Yeah, you're fine.
I got you guys.
The first Clayface is Basil Karlo. That is the Clayface that we will see in the comics, who, at any point, if you pick up a comic book over the last 25 years and you see Clayface that looks reminiscent of the character from the cartoon show, that's probably Basil Karlo. Which, of
Oh.
course, is hilarious because he's modeled after Matt Hagen from the animated series. For the life of me, I don't know why they picked Matt Hagen. Probably because Matt Hagen is the first Clayface to actually look like the Clayface they wanted in the animated series, but doesn't have that tragic backstory. He has a very different backstory. So Basil Karlo, B-movie horror actor.
I'm going to tap some of my grandpa knowledge here.
Yeah.
He's clearly based off of Boris Karloff.
He is Boris Karlo. Obviously, his name's Basil Karlo. It's a portmanteau of different fun
Yes.
horror movie actors.
Sadly, I guess he'll never play the DC Universe's version of The Grinch.
No.
The only other Basil we know is Basil Rathbone.
Yes, which of course they used. They are making reference to Basil Rathbone. He was pissed because they were remaking one of his movies, and so he ruined the production, and Batman stopped him. And then he came back 2 or 3 more times, and nobody liked him and nobody cared. He had no ability to transform. He was just an asshole. That's it.
Why'd they call him Clayface?
Because he would put on a mask or act.
He's such a good actor, Tiffany.
Yeah.
He becomes...
He was just
Wouldn't
a really good actor.
Wouldn't he just be the actor?
He called himself Clayface. Matt Hagen emerges.
Yeah.
Matt Hagen was diving and
What?
discovered a magical pool and got that shit on him, and he could transform into what looks like Clayface, kinda from the animated series. Matt Hagen's not an actor. He was just a 2-bit hood who discovered that he could look like different people and used it to rob places. Then there's Preston Payne. And Preston Payne actually is just a guy who suffered from a terrible real disorder that caused him to look what he felt was monstrous. He just had too much too many cells, too much growth in his face and his hands, and he worked at Star Labs, and he was just really insecure about how he looked. And so he convinces Matt Hagen, who's under guard, to give him some of his blood so that he can isolate the clay compounds within his cells and then make a serum that can change his visage.
Why would...
Preston uses Matt Hagen's blood to synthesize a kind of clay formula, and what it ends up doing is horribly disfiguring him further and makes him melt.
Has he tried going to the dermatologist?
He works for Star Labs, so he
Yeah,
should have
that's not quite-
super dermatology.
He should have really good insurance.
Yeah.
Which should let him go to a really good dermatologist.
I know.
Okay, Star
Look,
Labs
it's not
gets a
just-
lot of accidents and break-ins. Their insurance goes to other things.
It's not about his skin condition. His bones are malformed. He himself is
He's having a rough time.
he's having a rough time, but it's actually a real disorder that he suffers from. That's
Okay.
he is not only the most complicated looking Clayface, but also was the one I saw the most in the comics because Matt Hagen died in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
What?
And so not only does Matt Hagen die during the mega crossover event that also reboots DC continuity, but also people remember that he died in the Crisis and that there was a crisis at all. But in between that time, Preston meets Matt. Sometime between the reboots, Preston Payne meets Matt Hagen, shakes him down for his blood, gets it, and then makes himself into what is known as Clayface 3. They all, by the way, name themselves after the numerical designation of which order their Clayfacery took place. So, Basil Karlo's I'm Clayface. And then Matt Hagen's I'm Clayface 2.
I'm number 2.
Except they use Roman numerals, so I want to think he calls himself Clayface the second. So Preston Payne is Clayface, and he looks like Mr. Freeze's action figure from the DC Superpower collection. He has like a blue containment suit and like weirdo gloves and a cape, and his face is melting, and it's under this kind of like weird protective shield. And his power is that he can melt you.
What?
If he touches you, he'll melt you. And he can take your properties and then like reconstitute himself for a little while. And then like, you know.
That's like kind of like Parasite.
Yeah, it's not really Clayface.
Does he turn into you?
No, he doesn't like, he doesn't take you and then become you. Preston Payne is, like, for all intents and purposes, post-crisis Clayface, but also all those Clayfaces still happened.
And he's terrible.
Yeah, and he sucks. Also, he's crazy and he's insecure. So in Preston's situation, he falls in love with a beautiful mannequin, and he keeps her for his bride. And for some reason, the people at Arkham are like, he keeps him docile, let him have sex with the mannequin. So he keeps this sexy mannequin in his cell with him, and that's what keeps Preston kind of like in line. That's
I would like to
Clayface 3.
leave this couch now.
Well, you can't.
No, I'm going
You gotta
first.
stay
No,
until the
dibs.
end, because you don't even
No.
know what happens to this mud pack. So, Preston Payne, Clayface the Third. Then, they invent the fourth Clayface. And the fourth Clayface shows up when Batman was managing a team called the Outsiders. And there's an evil organization, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world called Cobra. But not that Cobra. This Cobra is spelled with a K. And they're in the
Yay.
business of making bad guys. And one of them
So you have
is...
to go to Outworld and
No, that's...
kick people and...
What?
You said K. With a K? Anything with a K. If you're having a K, that means...
It's combat.
Yeah.
Oh, Outworld. God damn it. Lady Clay was an invention by Cobra to fight Batman and the Outsiders. Lady Clay had no origin for a while, except that she was super insecure. Another one. But she also would be referred to as the fourth Clayface, but would never be called Clayface the Fourth or Four. She just called herself Lady Clay. And sometimes, you know, colloquially we'd call her Lady Clayface. Her powers are she can actually transform, and she looks more like Matt Hagen, but in feminine form. And so she can turn into like birds and stuff and fly around. Also, if she touches you, she can also steal your properties. So if like you're a superhero and she touches you and she becomes you, she can also become your powers and shit.
That's Rogue.
Yeah, but no, it's Lady Clay. So she ends up fighting a member of the Outsiders named Looker. And Looker is a complicated character that I don't really want to get into, but she's also in this book, so we'll have to deal with her. But she's a member of the Outsiders, and she gets powers, and her powers are many and varied. Suffice it to say, she can fly through telekinesis, which she also has. Also, she can go into your mind and
look around.
telepathically look around. Yeah, exactly, which is going to be a key plot point later in the story.
Hang on. Can we just circle back real quickly to the bird thing again?
Yeah,
For both of them?
right. For both Clayfaces
So
who
they
can turn into birds.
and they can fly around.
Yes.
Can they manipulate the weight of their bodies?
They have
because
to.
clay is quite heavy.
Well, I think it's more Clay in name only. Like, it looks like Clay, and they don't want to call them the shit pack,
But, like-
so they're just going with, like,
But
Clay.
like birds are quite light, and
Yes.
that's how they attain flight.
Well, I guess she has to just make bigger
Okay.
muscles or something. I
Well,
don't know.
what they could do is they could make themselves very large birds so
Yes.
that the insides of their bones can have hollow spaces.
Right.
And
I mean,
therefore making themselves
they're
less
just
dense.
clay.
It could work.
Like, they don't even have bones
But they'd have
and
to be
stuff.
massive.
Yeah, but also they do have, like, a vascular system and blood and such.
They have blood?
They do have
You
blood.
can make a Clayface bleed?
Yes.
Then you can kill it.
Ah!
Those are all the
I
Clayfaces.
hate all of these clay
Right, I
faces.
don't like any of them, and it's why the animated series Matt Hagen is the best Clayface.
It really is.
Yeah,
Is
failed
he-
actor, force-fed clay, experimental like face,
No,
you know,
it's
putty.
not forced. I mean, he was,
he
but
was.
like he became addicted to the cream.
Yes, he did.
Like first.
Yeah, and then Daggett made him
Yeah,
eat it
because
and-
like he was like he couldn't pay him.
That's right.
Like we get this, we get a mob plot, we get an addicted to drugs style plot.
Yep.
And we get like just a tragic like villain.
Yes, that's right. No,
Is
they
that
got it
what
all.
he is now?
We'll get into it because
Damn it.
because right now at the time in '89 when they're establishing the Mud Pack, there is no good Clayface, except maybe Lady Clay, but no one's interested in developing her in any way, except for the fact that like she had no name prior to this story, and then they just say it. There's like, oh, this is your real name, and not like it's a big revelation. Just, oh, I know your real name and it's this, and she's like, that's right,
Whoop to shit.
right. But Batman doesn't know that. And presumably never will. Anyway, so that's all the Clayfaces. So this story is the idea that all the Clayfaces are going to team up and defeat Batman. And it's like, but all of you are lame. Also, one of you is dead. Because Matt Hagen died during the crisis.
Yeah.
So he's just back?
No.
What?
So
Are they essentially... Never mind. Go ahead.
the opening of the story is Preston Payne, Clayface the Third. He's in his cell, which is more like a mock apartment domestic situation with his mannequin.
Ugh.
And he's like, and
I was really hoping that was Lady Clay for a minute.
no,
I really hate this.
I know. I know. This is the epic story that I remember there being a promotional poster for, and there being, in every single issue, there being a poster you could get that like commemorates this idea. The Mud Pack was a big deal. When I was growing up, all I had was part 4 of the Mud Pack, and I'm like, what?
Why?
Well, when you're a kid and you say you like comics, people who are trying to get out of them will just foist them on you.
I'm not saying why
But
did
I
you only
have-
have number 4. I had like some weird part of the Age of Apocalypse.
Exactly,
I get that.
yeah.
You were reading that being like, why?
What? Oh yeah, no. And when we get to the end, you're gonna be like, oh. By the way, that's the best way to get into comic books. Everybody always says like, oh, how do I get into comics? They go, oh well, you should read Year One and Dark Knight Returns and Batman R.I.P. and Zero Year and The Court of Owls. No. The way to get into comic books is to grab some random issue that's part 2 of an 8-part story from 1976 and go on the journey. Read that book 1,000 times. Wonder what part 1 was all about. Wonder how it ends. Go to every comic book store you know and look for it. Not find it. Be dogged by it. Pick up other random issues that are also random parts because those are cheap and cheaper than newer books or cheaper than trades. And so you just go on these constant journeys where you have like just these random intermittent chapters of stories you'll never know the ends of. And then eventually you'll have 1,000 comic books. And then one day you'll have a show where you make fun of them on a couch and you will finally collect all 4 issues of the Mud Pack. And then you'll have to tell your wife and your best friend about it. And they have to listen to you because that's how they get paid. So let's get into it. So Preston Payne is in Arkham Asylum and he's talking to his mannequin, and what we establish is he is having some domestic trouble because a beautiful woman came to visit him earlier and sowed the seeds of dissent in Preston's heart. And Preston's like, you don't really do anything for me anyway. And it's like, well, of course she doesn't. She's not real. But anyway, he's yelling at her, and the guards at Gotham who are watching him because everyone's under surveillance are just like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I imagine Preston is one of the most like watchable.
This is the Christmas
villains.
party. No, all the tapes of Preston Payne are the Christmas party. Like, there he goes. Oh, look at him trying to fuck the mannequin. So they're all making fun of him. And then eventually smacks her and knocks her head off.
He Hank Pym's her?
He Hank Pym's her.
He knocked her block off.
He knocks her block off, but he's immediately like, "Oh no, Helena, I'm so sorry." That's right, he named it, and so
Well, I
he's
would've-
No,
So.
he named her.
Thank you.
Excuse me, he didn't name her. That's her name.
Touche.
Excuse me. You're right. The killing or harming of Helena in
The
this
dismemberment, the
Right.
beheading.
Well, he doesn't consider it. He's not like, oh no, she's dead. What do I do now? No, he's like, Helena, I'm so sorry. And he's like trying to put it back on. But this.
But she's like the Shrine of the Silver Monkey. He just can't figure
He
it
just
out.
can't figure it out. It's like, where's
It's
the
one
where's the
piece.
middle?
You knocked one piece out.
But this breaks him psychologically, and he's just like he loses it, and so he's trying to get out. The orderly's like, well, we'll have to trank him, and then he breaks free, and he uses his horrible abilities to melt someone and augment his own powers and escape, and so Preston Payne is free, and he was set loose by other parties.
Oh, excuse me. Why would they let him keep the cape?
I wouldn't argue with this guy.
Why would they let him keep a suit that you can take the gloves off?
Right.
That's also true. But
He's got to go to the bathroom.
No, you just let this man die.
Yeah, I mean,
That is horrific.
yeah, it's a horror show. Thank you, Norm.
listen, you're in Gotham. Sometimes your face is gonna melt.
And your entire body.
Basil Karlo, Clayface, the original,
Clayface the first.
he is just kind of like the shadowing through God. He's like, oh, I've got all kinds of machinations and plans, and he's got like his cape over his face, and he's got his hat on, and I'm not gonna bury the lead here. He's wearing a Clayface mask. Like,
Which one?
his own. The Clayface mask that Clayface the First wears is, I think, a legally distinct difference, but like homage to the actor Rondo Hatton. I say actor in like loose terms because he starred in a movie that like was lost for a long time called The Brute Man. And the whole story is just like, look at this ugly man. And it's like, this poor man was literally, he looked like that. And they were like, we can save money on makeup if we just cast Rondo Hatton. What's interesting about Rondo Hatton and being in The Brute Man is that there's an actor in The Rocketeer who is a goon, and he is given makeup to look just like Rondo Hatton. I think it's a Rondo Hatton reference because it's also like, Karlo was born from cinema in the 30s, and so was Hatton. So that's my assumption.
It tracks.
I think it tracks. So Karlo is just talking about how cinema is dead and movies are bullshit. And if this were made a couple years later, he'd be in a basement on a computer somewhere. But instead, he's wearing his theatrical Clayface costume, which he more or less wore in the 40s.
Now, to be fair, he is passing a movie called Sex Death of the Chainsaw Zombie.
Yes. Now, he's a horror actor, and he's like, horror's fallen so far. It's not like it used to be. It's more like...
It never is.
And it's 89, so it's like, yeah, you're in the era of the slasher. Now, it'd be interesting if it's like, that's what he wants to do, and he's like, well, if you can't beat him, join him, because he does say that, but it has nothing to do with anything, and it doesn't matter. So he's going to his lair, which is an abandoned movie theater, and wouldn't you know it, it is stocked with punks, Gothamite punks.
Are they his punks?
Nope, they're just random punks. And
yeah, they're hanging out in the theater.
Yeah, that's where they hang because
this is our turf now.
Yeah, it's an abandoned place. Thankfully, they
walk around, they snap at people.
They're not a gang. They're just a couple of unlucky teenagers who are looking to shake down this person who's carrying around with him a sack. And they're like, all right, what's in the sack? They pull out their switchblades, and they're like, this is just full of shit. It's just a sack full of poop. What is this?
It's just filled with fingers.
Yeah. It's full of clay.
Oh.
And they're like, what the fuck is this? And then he attacks them with his signature knife, and they run away. Well, one of them
has a knife?
Oh yeah, that's Clayface's move from the 40s. He stabbed you.
What is he, a hooker?
In Gotham, maybe.
I mean, no, he was an actor. He was below a hooker at that point.
Right. So he stabs these teenagers and then just like leaves them there. He's like, it's fine. So he goes in to set up his whole like nefarious scheme.
I'll deal with that. That's future me's problem.
Exactly.
Not current me.
That's right. So Batman gets a word on the Batmobile's radio that Preston Payne's free. He recounts his origins, and Payne just kind of like he ran away. He's wearing like a 70-pound outfit with a cape. His face is melting all the time, and he's trying to carry his freaking
Helena,
his widow's head around, but he manages to escape.
He didn't bring the body?
Nah, just the head.
It's
more convenient.
I guess the mannequin makes sense because he can touch her.
Yes. Well, yeah.
But like...
He can touch anyone with gloves on.
Right.
That's true. He could just have a relationship with a real person and just keep the gloves on.
That's true. So he escapes, but the experience of like not melting anybody and absorbing their powers and strength and whatnot is overwhelming him, and eventually he just passes out.
But he did. How long can he last without like...
He needs to keep melting people. It's a lot of work.
Okay, but how is he alive in Arkham?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe
Doesn't
that
matter.
guard had like pulled an all-nighter and he had very low energy.
Yeah, that's true.
But
how do they keep him alive?
Yeah, how do they keep him alive in Arkham? Are they releasing like pigs in the room? They're like, that's close enough.
Maybe. That makes sense to me. They don't get into the nitty-gritty.
They're like, also, it's pork chop night.
Right.
He actually just eats and destroys all of the vermin.
Yeah.
The rats, the cockroaches, all of it. They just like funnel into his room.
Yeah, they just divert them. So Payne passes out. He's eventually caught by some cops, but then Looker appears, and Looker's like, hey! And so she uses her powers to make them all shoot each other with their trank darts. She's not a murderer.
Oh, okay.
So they all trank each other, because they're all just trying to capture Clayface 3.
Can you go back to... what is this look?
This is Looker's in-canon outsider's outfit. That's her costume.
That's a look,
It is a look, yeah. Looker does not have a really solid motif.
All right, cosplayers of the world.
Yeah, where's Looker?
Show me this one.
Give me post-crisis Looker.
Someone did that. I guarantee
There's
it.
somebody who went to Comic-Con in like 1991. She forces the guards to trank each other, and then she uses her telekinesis powers to lift up Clayface the Third and then take him away.
He also kind of looks like the Thing.
He does look like the Thing. This is you're talking about Basil Karlo.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he does. Because it's orange. Because they want it. Because that's clay. That's
And he also has like a giant mouth.
He does, yeah. But it's also just a mask. Don't forget, it's not really anything. It's
not
just
him.
fake.
He looks totally fine underneath.
He does.
That's okay.
Basil Karlo goes on, and I do appreciate that at least it's thought balloons and not monologuing, like out loud. But he's talking about Matt Hagen and lamenting the passing of Matt Hagen because he was the best. He was the best Clayface, and he died in the crisis. How Basil Karlo knows that is beyond me, but whatever. So it wasn't a secret war, so I guess everybody knew about the crisis.
Basil
So,
reads Sal.
that's right. So Basil's like sad, but he did recover some of Matt Hagen's clay.
Is he going to use it on himself?
No, he wants to bring Matt Hagen back. And he knows through science that if you add tap water to clay, you will reanimate it. And so he gets the small remainder of what he believes to be Matt Hagen's clay, puts it into a bowl, pours some water on it, and then forms it into a little Matt Hagen statue. And he's like, there. And by the way, this is all through melodramatic monologuing, but he talks about how like clay is it is life, and you can't kill clay, whatever. He's really obsessed.
Diana would agree.
Right? Yeah, seriously. He does not draw the parallel.
You're going to need some gods.
And he's like, live again! And then it just falls over. Because you can't do that, and that's not how that works.
Oh, good. I'm really glad that's not how that works.
No. So Matt Hagen's not in the book. I mean, he technically is, because there's his clay.
So this is not a combination of all of the Clayfaces.
No. But
you
technically Matt Hagen is here.
You lied to me.
Like, that is part of him.
Yeah, Matt Hagen's like the remains.
Yeah, the
like-
remainder of Matt Hagen is technically in this crossover, and he is part of the Mud Pack. So, not a liar. So Batman goes and he investigates the escape of Clayface the Third. He talks to the head of the asylum, and they talk about how apparently Payne was agitated because he was met by a beautiful woman some day prior. Batman's like, what? So he takes a look at the surveillance and he sees that Looker was there. He's like, Looker? What are you doing fraternizing with Clayface 3?
She's in her freaking costume.
Yeah.
How did the guards not know that?
No, they did. They were just like, yeah, whatever. Superheroes want to go to Arkham and talk to people. We have a precedent for that. So Looker Looker doesn't actually really engage with Clayface 3. She just looks at him. And that's it. And Batman's like, that's weird. What? Why would she do that? Now, Batman, of course, has disassociated himself from the Outsiders at this point, but the Outsiders was his team. These are his people. Looker is technically a few degrees away from being a Robin at this point. So he's upset. Also, Looker doesn't really even live here. She lives in LA. But yeah, so why would Looker do this? That doesn't make any sense. Why would she? No. So while that's happening, we also established that a few issues prior, Alan Grant invented a serial killer who eats people, a cannibalistic serial killer named Cornelius Stirk. He shows up. I remember he was in last Arkham. I don't like Stirk, but he's in here, and they're trying to push Stirk. Batman has a vision that involves Stirk. We see that Batman frightens Stirk. It's just Grant being we gotta get Stirk working. We gotta get Stirk in here.
Just put him in.
Yeah, just put him in. So we see Looker is telekinetically transporting Clayface 3 to Basil Karlo's abandoned theater hideout, and then she reverts her powers back to being Lady Clay. Wasn't Looker, was Lady Clay pretending to be Looker and using her powers that are left over from that story arc with the Outsiders.
Got it.
And I love that, this again, if you want to get into comic books and you want to just jump in the deep end, grab some random issue, because this book makes no effort to explain to you Looker, the Outsiders, why Lady Clay has effing Looker's powers and why she looks like her. No, they kind of bring it up a little bit in the story, but only naturally. It's not like it's a Spider-Man issue where every time Venom appears for the first time, he says, we were innocent once until that accursed Spider-Man ruined our lives. And we got a full goddamn page recap of who Venom was and how it all started.
Gotta show you every time.
That's the Stan Lee mantra. That's the difference between Marvel and DC. Stan's every comic somebody's first, give him fucking context. And DC's fuck them. It's literally Detective Comics number 604.
If you want to know, you buy it.
You go pick up an issue. It's only $1.
You go pick up 600 issues. It's only $600.
If you can find them.
If you can find it, which of course you can.
Probably more, though, because some of them are worth more now.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
get save your pennies.
Probably not this one. So
Not now.
so she reveals that Karlo enlisted Lady Clay in his scheme, and he used her to use her looker powers to get Clayface 3.
I'm sorry, does she only take the powers of female counterparts?
She's only done it the one time.
Because I was going to say, like, she could just get Martian Manhunter, and then she could not only look like however she wants to look,
transform into anyone she wants.
but still use telekinesis.
That's true.
Or telepathy.
This illustrates just how fucking lame this is. Like, Basil Karlo's like, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Lady Clay is like, oh, I'm so winded from my experience of making myself look like Looker.
Preston's unconscious.
Preston's unconscious, and Matt Hagen is fucking dead.
He's leaning on a spoon and tiny and not alive.
Right, and he's like, yes! And he takes off his mask and reveals that, there he is. Just looks like some guy, an older guy. But, so
He's kind of got a Vincent Price mustache.
Yeah. So he explains his 4-part plan, which includes, like, destroying Batman and then murdering Batman. Like, we're going to ruin his reputation and then we're going to kill him.
Step 1, bring back Matt Hagen. All right, we're off to a rough start.
That's exactly right. But yeah.
But don't worry, we're going to have a, off-site team retreat.
Yeah.
We're going to get some ideas, and then we're going to destroy Batman.
Yeah.
It's just, profit.
Yep. So that's the plan. Let's kill Batman.
I'm sorry, does he then make a Clay Batman and stab it?
Yeah.
Out of Matt Hagen?
I think that's separate Clay, but it could be Matt's Clay, because Matt's Clay never really comes up
I like
again.
that he had time to make sure it said on the bottom, the Batman.
Well, yeah. Well, because that's how he opened the issue.
Does he have a stamp that says the Batman?
I think he's just a really good sculptor.
So Batman has zero idea. They're like, yeah, Batman's going to be shitting his drawers over this one, and Batman's
Yes.
like, what's up with the Looker? That's weird.
Yes.
He's like, I don't really. You're clay people. What if you can melt people? That's probably a problem.
That's
but-
Probably
problem.
calls her, he's just like, hey, are you in Gotham?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he does. It would be great if the Clayfaces, the Mud Pack, like, were defeated without Batman ever bumping into them. But instead, we see the real Looker. She's having a nightmare, and that nightmare is about her being dragged underground by Clay. And she's like, ah. And she's woken up by a phone call from Batman, who's like, hey, what are you doing talking to Clayfaces? And she's like, what? I didn't have a nightmare about Clay. Is that like a premonition? Am I magic or
Oh
something?
my God, Batman, could you see into my dreams?
Right. And he's like, what? No. But she does have, like, I guess, unresolved trauma with, she fought the Lady Clay in Lady Clay's first appearance.
Okay.
And at the end of that story, by the way, like, Lady Clay made Looker sad, so Looker, like, let her escape. She doesn't tell Batman that. She just says she got away. It's fine. It doesn't come up later. It's just something I'm bringing up.
Okay.
But, Batman's like, yeah, okay, well, thanks. And she's like, I can help. And he's like, please don't.
Please don't bring your weird ass costume to Gotham.
Yeah. She's like, all right. So,
Well, I guess I'll leave the book now.
yeah. So,
Please do.
Please, would you? So, the Clayfaces are talking about their big plan, the Mud
I
Pack.
freaking love that Clayface 3 is just
Unconscious. At the table.
At the
They
table.
literally, they place him so that he could, like, still be part of the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So, Lady Clay explains, like, what she's been doing since the last story she was in, and she explains, like, I can make myself look like people, and I tried to, like, have a regular life, but I also knew that, like, the people that, like, she like, literally becomes a beautiful woman who, like, bangs an oil sheik, but knows that he would never bang her if she was herself, because when she was transformed by Cobra, her original look, like, what Lady Clay looked like, was, and we don't see it, but, like, not conventionally attractive. So she's like, if I wasn't this, you'd never find me attractive. And that's actually kind of a cool moment, because when she's with this dude, he's like, I love you and the world is ours. And then she turns into a giant horrible bug. And she's like, fuck you, I'm a giant bug now. You're like, fucking this? And he's like, what the hell is happening? And I'm like, that's body horror. You gotta get Cronenberg to make this Batman movie.
She's like, so I have real powers. What about you, Karlo?
Knife!
Yeah, that's it. I can stab people with the best of them.
I
So-
mean, so can anyone.
Yeah, but I'm really good at it.
Yeah, no. Just basically, she finds out that, like, Basil Karlo exists, so she meets up with him, and then he gets released from prison because it's been since the 40s. And she's like, you were an outcast just like me, so we should team up. And he's like, yeah, it sounds great. So then he convinces her, like, grab Clayface 3, we're going to be the greatest team ever, the Mud Pack. So Preston wakes up and he freaks out, and then Lady Clay turns into Looker and uses Looker's powers to knock Preston out again, or at least get him docile enough to like stop being a pain in the ass. And so then we can see that this is some fertile ground that the Mud Pack
This is going
Why
well.
would you even bring Preston into this?
because we need him. Remember, he's the only one who can melt people. So Batman goes back to the Batcave now,
Yeah,
knowing
you can't do that with a knife.
no. So he's after talking to Looker, he realizes, okay, well then it must be the Lady Clay Looker impersonator.
I really like this profile for Batman. Like that, I don't know. There's something about that like shape for his cowl and like the I don't know. There's something about it.
Breyfogle is like every page he tries to cram some semblance of dynamicism into the book in a way like, I'm going to show you a Batman you've never seen before.
Yeah, it's
Like even Batman talking to Looker and smiling.
well, yeah, it's like, but it's like very simple. It's a lot of clean lines for
Yes.
the cowl. You know, a lot of people like change it up. It's like it's got that pointed nature, and
Yes.
like sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. He's making it work. I
No,
like
it's true.
it.
So we find out that Clayface.
It's like original Batman.
Yes.
Like that's what it looks like, but like done a little better.
So the Clayface the Third, he's robbing a bank
Yep.
or an armored car outside the bank, and then Batman swings in to help. What? So
My God.
Batman and Clayface 3 kick the crap out of some people. In fact, there is a member of Gotham's PD who's there is like, Batman, what are you doing? And he's like, fuck you, haha. Just like pushes him over. And meanwhile, while that's been happening, like while that crime is being committed,
Yeah.
Batman is with Commissioner Gordon talking about Clayfaces. That's it.
So at least he's got an alibi.
An alibi. Oh yeah, no. So Batman.
Yeah, but everyone knows that Gordon would cover for Batman.
Well, that's true.
Clayface one is like, God damn it.
Oh, it's amazing. So Batman is now being framed for armed robbery against, the Gotham bank, and is in cahoots with Clayface 3. So Batman's chatting with Gordon, and then one of Gordon's men walks in to tell Gordon about Batman, and then he sees Batman, and he's like, Batman? And Batman goes, what's your problem? What are you looking at?
You never seen a Batman before?
Right. So the guy is explaining like, well, this is but you and he and and like Gordon just starts cleaning his glasses. Goes, oh, I see. Clayface 4. Sorry, Batman. Right. Yeah. No, I'll hold a press conference and tell them that they're full of shit. It's fine.
The Mud Pack sucks.
They suck on toast. But this is what's so great about how much they suck. Batman goes, no, wait. Let's let them think that they're winning. Let's let them have it. So they're only succeeding because Batman's like, I want to stretch this out.
That's amazing.
Because he's like, why would he do that? Like, why is Preston even robbing banks?
Hang on, I want to see where this goes.
Like, he wants to fuck mannequins. He doesn't want to like have money. What's his problem? I want to know, and I want to figure it out. And you know what? If they think that they're like ruining me, whatever. And Gordon's like, dude, but what if like Gotham loses their interest in like what about the court of public opinion? He goes, it's not the first time Gotham's hated me. It's fine. Well, you'll just give a press conference after it's over.
Yeah.
So Lady Clay and Clayface 3, so Clayface 3 and 4 return to Karlo's lair with a whole bunch of money, and they're just really excited about it. Karlo takes out like a portable radio or a ghetto blaster if it's 89. And plays the news, which reports that Batman seemingly went rogue and robbed this bank, and he's like, oh, it's working swimmingly. This is amazing. Meanwhile, Payne is losing it because like he doesn't want to hear about Batman. It's like he doesn't even know that Batman was with him. He's like, damn it, Batman, no! Batman's always like where I am. What the fuck? It's like I'm a Batman villain or something. So.
You understand? I used to work at Star Labs.
Right.
I had a life.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for this guy.
You should. He's this tragic figure. So he then sees Lady Clay as Batman. He's like, Batman's right here. I'm gonna attack you. So then she turns into Looker, and she's like, hey. And he's like, what's happening to me? You were Batman, and now you're this beautiful woman who convinced me to do this thing. Well, I'm freaking out. And she's like, you're freaking out.
I'm very glad that she can't use Looker's powers unless she transforms
She has
into
to be
Looker.
Looker. Yeah.
You have to be that person to use the
powers.
power.
Yeah.
When she turned into Batman, did she like have his cunning and shit?
No. That'd be amazing. I'm Bruce Wayne.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like she take the mask off and it is Bruce Wayne. No.
And she just knows.
Or she's just too stupid to think of that.
I assume it's just she knows what
If you
Batman
can steal
looks like.
telekinesis and telepathy from a person by looking like them, you should be able to be them if you take off your mask.
Well, it looks like she shot her with like powers to do that.
Yeah,
So
she did.
maybe you had to do that.
I don't know. She just grabbed her. Anyway, so Lady Clayface Looker just uses her powers to kind of like rein in Clayface 3. And she's like, "Are you feeling okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm feeling great. Like, this is way better. Like, you make me feel good. Like, you make me feel better than Helena did." And so she's talking to Carl.
All right, getting over the mannequin.
Yeah, we're making steps here. So she's talking to Carl. She's like, "Why did you bring this fucking guy? Like, what are you doing? He's barely held together with scotch tape, man."
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, we need him. It's fine. But even if it doesn't work out, like, fuck him. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it." So Batman, he pays for a newspaper and he reads that, like, things are fucked up and, he's public enemy number 1, but also reads that apparently there's going to be a big casino benefit and there's no way they could resist. He's just world's greatest detective. And so Payne and Lady Clay, like, get dropped off in, like, a ridiculous Jeep and they go to the casino event to rob it and also make Batman look the fool. And so the two of them spring into action, but then Batman shows up. And he knocks over Payne, and also being there in the presence of the fake Batman pretty much clears his name. And so, like, any tension that Gotham was going to have a problem with Batman is thwarted. So that's over. He also beats the living shit out of himself, basically.
Right.
And he knocks down fake Batman, Lady Clay, and then goes to deal with Preston, who's like, got second wind or whatever. And then when he turns back around to face Lady Clay has turned into Robin. Because she, having penetrated his mind to become him, found one of his greatest fears and regrets.
So then, no, wait. She would
she should
absolutely
know who he is.
Hands down.
Yes, but she doesn't.
And that lady's a Butler Alfred, and that.
Yep.
Like,
Here's the thing, no, she knows, but she's like, I'm not gonna cross that line.
Yeah, that would be inappropriate. So
It's not what villains do.
But great reveal, by the way. We don't even see who she becomes within the next issue of the Mud Pack. We see, like, his grave and the ghostly specter of Jason Todd, because Jason Todd was killed by the Joker less than a year ago. So Batman's still dealing with it. But I love the image of Jason Todd Robin through, the actions of Lady Clay being like, "Hey, Batman, let's go!" Like, it's just to be like, "Oh no, little chum!" Like, he's just freaking out. And
I want to hear you cry, little chum, more, because that really reminded me of Adam West.
Yeah, of course.
To a T.
Yeah. So Robin starts mopping the floor with Batman, and he's like, "I know that this is a Clayface person, but it's freaking me out, and I just need to get over it, because here's the thing: even if Lady Clay is being Robin and he's like trained and stuff, he's a kid, and I could beat the shit out of a child," and so he does. Clayface 3 gets up and knocks over Batman while he's having a traumatic revelation, and so Batman's taken down, and he's down for the count. Payne takes off his glove, he's gonna melt Batman, and Lady Clay's like, whoa, what are you fucking doing, man? That's not part of the plan. We're not killing Batman. This is phase 3 of the 4-phase plan. We have to defeat and humiliate Batman, then we kill him.
We could just kill him now, though.
No, but Basil Karlo, our ringleader and the original Clayface, so we have to listen to him, has plans for Batman.
Or
Yeah,
we could just cut to the quick and kill Batman,
right.
because he's right here.
But we're
And
not
I
gonna
could
do that.
also melt Basil as well.
Right. Basil Karlo, he steals some pharmaceuticals from a local pharmacy and murders them with his signature Clayface move of stabbing them with a knife.
So does he have like some sort of like horrible like dying? He's dying. He's
No.
sort of disease, and he's like, that's why
Well-
he's got to see the doctor, and he needs the medicine, and
Yeah, no.
he's like, my legacy will be killing Batman. I have to do it.
No. There's actually a great moment where the guy says, the pharmacist goes, "I need your forms." He goes, "Oh, I have them right here." And then pulls out his knife and just cuts the guy's throat. So Lady Clay fights Clayface 3, and then she turns into a giant bird.
Which she shouldn't be able to fly.
But she does.
She turns into an eagle.
Because she knocks the shit out of Clayface 3 and picks him up, and then picks up unconscious Batman and just carries the two of them away, revealing that she is the best Clayface.
Yeah.
Like, Clayface original is stabbing people with knives. Clayface 2 is dead. He's just a pile of crap on the ground. And this Clayface is unconscious, defeated by the fourth Clayface. Gordon gets a call, because they're just like, Clayface beat the shit out of Batman and another Clayface and left.
With them.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gordon's like, well, Batman knows what he's doing, I guess. Or not. I mean, either way.
I mean, I'm not going to do anything about it.
No.
That's not a Jim Gordon thing to do.
That's not a Jim Gordon thing to do.
Has anyone seen my pipe?
Yes. That's it. He goes, you know what?
Sir, it's in your mouth right now.
Oh.
He actually goes against Batman's wishes, and he's like, let's hold the press conference to talk about Batman being absolved of those crimes, because if he's gonna die, he should die a hero. I'm like, what a hero you are, Jim. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
So,
maybe we should send out some officers to find them.
Yeah, it's just a giant bird. We could track that shit. Nah. If he's to die, let him do it. So, Lady Clay arrives with these two characters. They tie Batman to a chair and they strap him in because this is why we have the lair. Batman is now in the theater, facing the screen, and Basil Karlo wants Lady Clay to penetrate Batman's mind using her looker powers, and then sift through his memories and grab all of his fears and all of his worst memories, everything that he hates.
And we're gonna Clockwork Orange him up.
Yes. By making him watch movies that I've been in.
That is so sad.
For Basil Karlo?
Right?
That is so sad.
Yeah.
What a sad person.
Right? It's pathetic. So but he's gonna experience or feel or whatever, relive in his mind those moments that Lady Clay, while also watching my movie.
So I'm gonna
traumatize
him
in 1941
to my movies because he's gonna be experiencing the fears that he actually went through.
Yes, because it is a scary movie after all. Batman comes to. He sees Karlo. He's like, "Oh my god, how have I been defeated by Clayfaces? This sucks." So they start the movie, and it's scary, but it's also like the fear of, or at least the terror that is displayed on the screen triggers the memories and feelings that Lady Clay has brought to bear, and so Batman starts freaking out. Meanwhile, Looker from LA has flown to Gotham and is looking to help Batman. She arrives at...
she shows back up?
Oh, yeah, no, Looker is a main character in the story now. So Looker goes to Gordon, and she's like, hey, I'm looking for Batman. And they're like, what are you wearing? And she's like, that's my costume. I'm Looker. And they're like, that is the lamest name I've ever heard for a superhero. She's like, shut the fuck up. So she's like, I had a dream about Clay, so I'm assuming the Clayfaces are involved. And Gordon's like, yeah, way to catch up. Meanwhile, Batman is experiencing this fun, visual nightmare that he lives in, which is him just being Batman and watching his parents die yet again. He also gets to see Barbara Gordon get shot by the Joker in The Killing Joke. And then Cornelius Stirk is there as well because he's
real big, too.
He's a really big, scary villain.
He's actually bigger than the Joker is.
Yeah, because who cares about the Joker? And he's old news.
Yeah, he's lame.
Stirk, way cooler.
Clowns ain't cool.
No.
Cannibals.
That's
Those
where it's
are
at.
in.
That's going to be the new villain of the 90s. Batman's being just his mind is falling apart. So Basil's like, we won! Champagne? So he busts out some champagne and pours some glasses for himself and Lady Clay. They drink their champagne, and it is revealed that the pharmaceuticals that he needed are actually roofies. And he knocks out Lady Clay. She's like, what? And he's like, that's right. So he then takes a syringe, which I presume he stole from the pharmacy as well, and extracts her blood from her clay form, which I can't imagine is a thing, but okay, here we are. So he takes her blood, and then, because Clayface III is also unconscious, takes his blood, and he's like, I am going to be the supreme Clayface. I'm going to take your ability to be useful and cool, and shapeshift and become birds and steal powers and stuff, and I'm going to take your ability to melt people, and I'm going to put them together, I'm going to inject them into me, and then I'm going to be the one true Clayface.
Some might say that's not how that works.
He then extracts their blood and leaves.
He just leaves.
And leaves?
That's it. He's like, I'm good. So he leaves.
Part of his plan was to kill Batman.
Yeah, well, he'll eventually die, from this experience. So Looker goes to the scene of the crime where Batman was absconded with.
Literally there. He could just kill him with his knife, his superpower.
I know, he won't. He's got to become Clayface first. The real Clayface, or the best Clayface. So Looker goes to the scene of the crime. She investigates the scene where Batman was defeated. She finds some clay residue. She grabs it, which then she psychically connects through it because it's also Lady Clay's clay. And this is actually played up on later on because like Lady Clay in the like post New 52 Rebirth continuity will like lose a feather that she had when she was a bird. And so it's like every part of her is connected to her in some way.
I just realized something.
Okay.
Basil thinks that he can take both of their blood
Yeah.
and become the best Clayface.
Yes.
But Preston took Matt's blood.
Yes.
And it like changed him and morphed him in a terrible way.
Yes, it did.
It did not make him better.
It did not.
And it did not give him his powers.
Well, that's why he's not using Matt's blood. He's using Preston's blood.
Which still proves that it will not work.
Meanwhile, we get to see Batman like fighting some of his greatest nemesis, which is fun.
That is fun. That'd actually be more fun.
That would be more fun than anything that's
than the
happening
story.
in this. Yeah.
Yes.
Preston comes to, and he gets mad at Lady Clay, and he yells at her, and he's gonna like smack her around, and she's like, "Go ahead, beat me up. I was a dupe too. I believed in Basil, and then he betrayed me, and he roofied me, and he took my blood. He took your blood too. I deserve this. I'm garbage." And he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, I am the expert on like, you know, self-effacing and hating myself, but like, Jesus, you really
Take it down a notch.
Take it down. You're making me feel bad about you, and I should be feeling bad about me all the time. This is ridiculous. I've never met anybody with a lower self-esteem than me. I'm in love with you." And so she cries she cries into his arms, and he's like, "Let's run away together." And she's like, "Really? You could love me even if I'm just a clay thing?" Because all she wants to do is be accepted for who she is, because she's always like approximating somebody else, and that's what people like about her. And she's like, "That's bullshit. I want to be me." So he's like, "I love you as for you, as long as you like my horribly melting face." And she's like, "Yeah."
And together we will be Clayface 7.
Clayface 3 plus Clayface 4 is Clayface 7, Clayface Revenge. So Clayfaces then make out, and it's great because they kiss as Basil's movie ends, and the panel shape is a heart like the movie's ending for them.
Are they no longer in the book?
They are in the book, but they no longer matter.
Oh, okay.
Because they're not interested in killing Batman anymore. They just want to run away together and be happy. So they leave.
Do they leave the theater and then get shot in the alley?
They do not. They just leave the theater. Yeah, exactly. So they leave the theater, and then Looker arrives, and she finds Batman, and he is freaking out. And she's like, "Oh, jeez, look at him go." And there's a way cooler image of Batman freaking out in the 4th issue, but we see that Lady Clay becomes a big bird.
Whoa. She
Excuse
can
me.
become an angel?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's an angel. I was like, is she a harpy? Nope.
Yeah, I think it's a harpy, but
No, but a harpy would have like wings for arms.
that's true.
And also like feet talons.
But I think she uses talents to like grab onto Clayface 3. I think it's a combination. But anyway, she explains to the reader, you know, like Basil Karlo stole our blood so that he could become like a real Clayface, and Clayface 3 is like, who cares? And so they leave to go watch the sunrise. But then Looker like finds Batman just like trapped in his own mind. So she uses her psychic abilities to dive into Batman's mind. And while she's there, she sees that like, you know, Batman's freaking out, but like his mind is like a steel trap, and it's completely like his constitution has like sealed him against it. But so he's just like hiding away. But she uses her psychic abilities to like destroy all of the, you know, onslaughts that Batman's mind are generating, like the ventriloquist and Catman and stuff. She's like, blah, blah,
It's
blah.
a cool image of Batman.
I agree. But just to like break through that cool image to like find the man underneath. And when she does, Batman comes to and he's like, "Leah, what are you doing here? This is great." And she's like, "Hey." And he's like, "Whoa, sorry about that. Anyway, thanks a lot for doing this." And she's like, "No problem."
She's like, "No, go away."
No. He's like, "All right, well, what are we doing?" And so she's like, "I don't know." So she grabs some more clay and she connects with it, and she's like, well, the other 2 Clayfaces don't matter. They left, and it's fine. And so Batman's like, So he uses science and detection to figure out what's going on with Basil Karlo. So he like, you know, he checks the discarded champagne glass, he looks at the fingerprints and smells it and checks it with chemicals, and basically discovers that like he figures it all out. He's like, Basil Karlo betrayed the other 2, he roofied them, and then took their blood because you could see they're just discard blood anyway. And she's like, "Why would he do that?" And he's like, "Because he wants to be a Clayface too."
Because he's an idiot.
Because he's a fucking idiot. And she's like, "That's crazy." And he's like, "There's only 2 places in the general vicinity for an old man with a knife who has no car to go to synthesize blood and become a Clayface. One is the local Star Lab, and you have some experience of that kind of, so you go there. And the other one is Gotham General. So I'll go to Gotham General, and you go to Star Lab just to cover ground, and we'll see which place has the Clayface in it. So they split up, and
But they leave Matt behind.
yeah, they do. It doesn't matter. He doesn't come up.
He's just
Come on!
Just on a spoon.
It'd be so great if like it moved or something, but no, he's dead. Basil Karlo picked Gotham General,
Sure.
so he just strong arms a doctor into doing his work for him with a knife. That's it. It's like, do it or I'll stab you. And
I
the
guess-
doctor, by the way,
You
is
can't argue with that.
completely reasonable. He's like, don't be ridiculous. Like that's not how that works.
Thank you.
It's not going to work.
Yay.
Like, it's like there's no money here. Like he's like, no, it's fine. So Looker like shows up at Star Labs. She uses her like psychic powers to make everybody listen to her. But like because she used so much of her power to like fly here and go into Batman's mind and stuff. She uses her. She asks Star Labs like people, the security detail at the front, like, is there an asshole with a knife here? And they're like, we can't tell you that. Like you're just some random civilian. And so she just uses her powers to like look through, finds out there's no Clayface there, and so she's like, all right, bye. So she tries to fly away, but she used up all of her powers for the day or whatever. So she just like falls out of the sky, and she's like, oh, damn it. Anybody want to give me a drive back to town?
And like 3 guards raise their hand.
Yeah, they help her up. It's cute. So the doctor synthesizes his blood and separates all the compounds that make clay, and he's like, here you go. And he goes, okay, now blend those two together and then inject it into me. And he goes, madness!
Does he really?
Yes!
Oh, jeez.
So he injects Basil with it. Batman shows up at the hospital, and the front nurse is like, everything's fine.
What does she know?
Right. And Batman's like, okay. So he leaves, and then he sees, like, because she's like, there's nobody here. Oh, the doctor's here, but he's by himself. And so Batman leaves. He walks out the front door, looks back up, sees 1 light on and 2 silhouettes. And he's like, she said there was only 1 person there. It must be Clayface.
And he goes back in, he's like, you're a Clayface! And he punches the secretary.
Yeah. So, world's greatest detective. So he goes in, and then we see that, like, right after the doctor injects him, he turns into a Clayface man. He goes, dear Lord, what's happening? And the guy goes, Clay, my dear doctor, Clay is happening to me. Which might be the best line in a Batman book ever. He's like, look, I can turn into stuff, I can stretch and grab, and then he grabs the doctor, he's like, I can melt people!
Oh no!
So he starts melting the doctor, and Batman shows up, and he fights Clayface, the true Clayface, ultimate Clayface. Looker gets a cab ride to Gotham General. They have an altercation because the cabbie's like, it cost money, and she's like, I don't have any. And he's like, what the hell? She's like, sorry. And he's like, nah, it's fine because you're hot. And I'm like, then why'd you... Anyway, so Batman fights Clayface, and he's like, I'm grabbing you. And look, he's like, he looks kind of like Matt Hagen from the animated series, kind of. Like he's becoming the Clayface you will know, because this is 89, Batman animated series 92. So like this is the template. And this will be the Clayface from here on out. Lady Clay will be like marginalized and ignored. No one's gonna deal with Preston anymore. He occasionally shows up, but like it doesn't really matter.
So it's never Matt Hagen again?
It's never Matt Hagen. It is always Basil Karlo. Basil Karlo is the Clayface that everyone thinks of when they're thinking of Matt Hagen from the animated series.
Wow.
Yeah. So he grabs Batman, he tries to use his powers. It's a superficial wound at best, but then he turns into a serpent, because it's kind of like a throwback to like the Matt Hagen era, of like making himself into a snake. Looker shows up, and she has just enough powers to like free Batman, and Batman's like, I have no idea how to beat this guy. He's got crazy ass powers. I don't know. Use your psychokinetic abilities to overload his powers. Like, just overload him or something.
About that, I'm a little tapped out at the moment.
Yeah, no, apparently not. Maybe she, like, refocuses anything that might have come back to make her fly, and
She
instead...
focused the totality of her
Psychokinetic ability.
abilities.
So,
Maybe she ate a hoagie on the way over.
there we
Excuse me,
go.
it was a hot dog.
So
It was a gyro.
She overloads Karlo, and he's like, no, this isn't fair. I'm supposed to win. I had a 4-point plan about how to defeat Batman, and this isn't fair. So Batman hits him with a chair and knocks him out the window. He's like, I have no idea what to do about this, so I'll just push my problems out the window. And he falls, and his burning ability is supercharged, so he starts burning through the ground, and he falls. and he falls forever.
Well, eventually he'll hit the core.
Well, as a matter of fact, this issue is called the China Clay Syndrome because Batman makes a joke about how maybe he'll fall all the way to China. You could watch him just fall. Like, just, no! Like, he's gonna go to the molten core of the earth.
Yeah, and then be destroyed.
Yeah. Instead, what happens is when Batman Cataclysm happens and Gotham's hit with an earthquake, it shakes him loose and he's free then. So he's freed in the 2000s. Late 90s, 2000s. Looker and Batman leave together.
They're just like, well, that's it. That took care of itself.
Yeah, all's well that ends well.
There's a big hole, but, Gotham
Whatever.
can take care of that.
Yeah, just
Public Works will...
board it up.
Yeah, you just keep listening and you're just like,
Yeah, when you don't hear him anymore, you could fill it in. So,
I guess it's fine.
yeah. So she's like, hey, we should team up more. And he's like, nah.
How about you go back to LA?
Yeah, that. And then we see that the end is they're watching a sunrise. That is to say, Clayface 3 and 4. And
What?
Oh, I guess he can't melt her?
No, he can't melt her.
Well, he's also not like actually kissing her.
No,
he still has the helmet
he's still
on.
wearing the helmet.
Oh, I thought he wasn't wearing the helmet because there's no dome around it. I think that's just his face.
No, look, you could see that like there's a dome.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, it could be his face. Either way, they're together.
Maybe the dome is kind of malleable.
I assume it is. I assume it's some kind of like, skin.
It's like plastic.
Yeah.
Why did you tell us this story?
Because we never do Clayface stories,
Well,
and I
think
want you
there's
to
a-
understand why.
Well, I don't think I really questioned it.
Yeah, but like Clayface is a really great Batman villain, or at least so we thought.
Well, the animated
But
series
actually,
one is...
Yeah, but
he's
we're not
for-
doing the animated series on this couch.
He's 4 crappy villains.
No, he is 3 crappy villains.
Yeah.
And 1 good villain that died.
Yes. But even Matt Hagen from like the Silver Age sucks. The way he gets his power sucks. His whole motivation sucks. And
Yeah.
he died. He's Clayface. How do you die? So yeah, they'll eventually do more stories with the last 2 Clayfaces, but Basil will return, and he is the Clayface everybody's thinking of. The Mud Pack. Now, this 4-part epic Batman tale is collected in a volume that DC is played around with not too long ago. The way that Marvel does their epic collections, DC does these. The frustrating thing is, this is out of print, and I had to order this from England.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
So whatever you need, it's in the description. But I will say that this is also available on DC Universe Infinite, the like digital subscription service that you can get through DC. You can get all 4 issues from that. So if you want to read it, and you can really zoom in and stuff, you can get all the great Norm Breyfogle artwork, and just enjoy a classic Batman story that like they had a lot of faith in. They had a logo designed. Every issue comes with an insert poster.
Does the story suck? Yes.
Yeah.
But only because it's a poorly thought out plan on Basil's part.
Right, like
But-
the villains suck. The story is honest.
But this is fun. I had a lot of fun
Right?
with you telling
It's
us
silly
this.
as fuck. And I'm like so glad I finally got to finish it.
I did not have fun with this story.
Not surprised. But yeah, pick up Batman: The Dark Knight Detective Volume 4. It's if it exists, it's in the comments below. Otherwise,
Oh my god.
what?
The ventriloquist could find Helena.
Oh my god, and be like, hey!
Yeah!
And then there'd be a big fight, like the War of Puppets and Clay, where Clayface 3 is like, what are you doing with my woman? And Scarface is like, what do you mean? She's my lady. She's made of wood.
Yeah, meanwhile, Lady Clay's like, whoa, I thought you were over Helena.
Yeah. Right? Oh my god. I'm shocked they didn't do it. Because it gets gross and weird. Like they end up like having a kid together. So
What?
yeah, no, it's the less said about it, the better. But this was a thing. I suggest, rather than pick this up, you should go to your local comic book store or Comic-Con and go try and find it. And then put it all together. Because you know what's not collected in this? The posters.
Oh, damn.
So, you know. If you want those posters, you're going to have to go out and find those issues.
Were the posters the covers?
No. Original
Oh.
art. Yeah, no, they're cool. You know what really made this happen for me. I came across a promotional poster for the event, and I was like, what are they doing? Like, they were so, like, convinced that this was gonna be something. And it's like, it's silly and stupid, and no one should take this seriously, and like, Batman doesn't refer to it ever again. But like, even in the Secret Origins and all this, they call them the Mud Pack. They're like, there they are, all the Clayfaces together at last. And I'm like, but nobody asked for this.
At last, at long last, the thing you, the DC fan, has been waiting for.
Right.
All 4 Clayfaces in one book.
Yeah.
Out to get Batman. One of them's dead.
One of them is dead, and it's stupid, and they all fail.
And one of them isn't really a Clayface.
He
Right.
calls himself Clayface, but it doesn't really power.
He's the original Clayface, so he gets away with
and
it.
2 of them gotta bail on the Batman part.
Yeah,
partway
completely.
through
The second they
book.
find out they're both like lonely.
But like, listen, it's what you wanted.
Do they ever call themselves the Mud Pack?
Right.
Does like Basil be like, and here we are, the Mud Pack?
I don't
Wait,
think
or
Like
do they
the-
make a
like the
mud,
Rat Pack?
Do
Right.
they make a mud pact?
Oh.
Oh.
Well, they don't.
He does take their blood.
Yeah. I mean, like, they don't call it the Mud Pact, but it is like, it is that.
I think
Anyway,
Tiffany's onto something.
I think so too. That's the sequel. Oh no. The Mud Pact. You get all the Clayfaces back together again. You could.
I'm telling you, we're gonna see Lady Clay or Preston Payne come back.
I hope
I'm sure
so.
they've been back, but
No.
like
They-
more recent, like
Yeah. Well, yes. No. She was in Detective with Mariko Tamaki. They did use her.
yes, okay. There
It
you
was
go.
over a year ago, but like Lady Clay has appeared
Or
again.
what about Preston Payne? Where's he been?
I don't know. The thing that most frustrated me was like growing up on the animated series, knowing Matt Hagen intimately, and every time you saw that Clayface in the comics, them going, Basil, what are you doing? Or Karlo, no! And me going, what the fuck are you guys doing?
That's Matt Hagen.
Yeah, because this is like pre-Wikipedia. I was just like, I don't know what I'm looking at. And then I remembered like my Mudpack issue, and I'm like, oh yeah, what? So that was the thing. But thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you guys next time with another episode of Back Issues. I'm Sal.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Tiffany.
So long.
Don't ever do this again.
Well, I can't.
To us.
It's done.
Don't be like, we're gonna have a lot of fun today. No.
There's more. We could do more.
No.
Yeah, we could do Anarchy.
We could do Anarchy.